Hello everyone, this is John.
This is Rusty.
This is episode 5 of the Purple Curtain podcast, and today we are going to be bringing you some top 5s recommended by our followers on Twitter.
Hmm.
So if it's boring, it's your own fault. I just want everyone to keep that in mind as we go forward.
Hmm.
Just to start off, there were a couple of top 5s that were recommended to us that we struggled with a bit. The first one was somebody asked us to give a top 5 of members with bad fashion sense, which is a shame because this is actually a brilliant question and I wish we were actually able to answer it, but the truth is that neither me nor Rusty has actually paid enough attention to what the members wear over the years to actually answer this adequately. It's a shame because it would have been quite nice to be really pointlessly bitchy about this. So yeah, a sincere apology to everyone. I really wish we could have done that one. The other one, which we kind of passed over, was somebody asked us about top 5 scandals. And again, while I'd actually quite like to be able to answer this one because I think it's quite a kind of, fun to be bitchy about this kind of thing. The only Nogizaka scandal I can actually remember with any kind of accuracy is Matsun's one. I can kind of remember that like Wakatsuki and Yamato both had them, but I honestly can't really recall any details about it at all. But I think you wanted to talk about Matsun's scandal a little bit, didn't you, Rusty?
Well, I think it's kind of a good segue to talk about her development as idol. So I guess it's more that I like to talk about Matsun than her scandal in particular, but I
Yeah.
thought it was a nice way to talk about her. And also, I do have some recollection of the other scandals, so if you don't mind me,
Yeah,
I
that's
do,
fine.
yeah, like list them, but I don't know, is that actually very interesting for a podcast? But yeah, there have been some scandals. Some of them have been pretty boring, to be honest, like very weak, and some of them have been a little bit spicier, I guess. But yeah, there's stuff there, but yeah, I'm not sure it's actually an interesting discussion to have. Hello?
Yeah, so like I guess the point you're kind of making is that um, I think Matson has kind of been different before and after her scandal, hasn't she?
Yes. Are we starting the discussion on her scandal right now?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, Matsun. So Matsun's interesting. Her development kind of went like a V shape. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do
So
know what you mean.
so initially she was one of the top 3 when it comes to popularity. She was referred to as Gosanke with Nanamin and Mayang. Those were the top 3, and they were the top 3 up until the 6th or 7th single when Nanase starts to overcome them when it comes to popularity and become a top tier member.
Yeah,
And after Nanase's breakthrough, other members also start catching up and become like top members when it comes to handshake sales. At the same time, Matsun starts struggling a bit. Also, when it comes to like their careers, Ma Yang and Nanami also start getting outside gigs. For Ma Yang, she started becoming a model for Ray. She became an official model for Ray and started receiving other kind of modeling gigs, while Nanami got some acting gigs. It ended up not being something very long term, but at the time it seems like the start of something. So, relative to her peers in Gosanke, Matsun seems to be not doing so well, both in terms of handshake and in terms of career development outside the group. And I think that unnerved her quite a bit. She was still the cheerful self for most of the part, but you can kind of get a sense that she was anxious and nervous about things. And
yeah, because like when I became a fan, I was, as far as I understood it, Matson had always been a kind of like mid-level popularity member. Well, like upper mid-level
mhm,
popularity member.
mhm,
So, the information that she used to be top 3 was always kind of surprising to me.
mhm,
So, like, that was probably the point she was at in her career, like when I came across Nogizaka.
mhm. I'm guessing at the time you entered her fandom, it was after the scandal, and her popularity took her diving.
I
And
think it wasn't after the scandal because I remember it happening.
oh,
It's
okay.
it's the yeah, like I think it's part of the reason why it's the only one I really remember with any detail because a lot of the other kind of like minor stuff that happened, it kind of like happened before I even became a fan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense because, as I mentioned, she was already starting to get surpassed by other members like Reika, like Wakatsuki, like Misa. They were starting to really catch up when it comes to their handshake sales, and she was no longer a clear top three when it comes to popularity. And yeah, like I said, I think that gave her a lot of anxiety. And when the scandal happened, it was a very rough event, of course. But I think what happened eventually, kind of in the medium term, is that it made Matsun realize that she have a lot of support and that she can rely on people in the group and she doesn't have to like bottle everything in by herself. So for example, Ma Yang was really supportive of her and I feel like a lot of members were really supportive of her. And also I feel like she kind of opened up a bit when it comes to like how she's doing. She's not so adamant about the need to be in the top three and maybe she's not pressuring herself as much anymore. And I think this opening up, this change in her attitude toward this whole thing, eventually allowed her to become more successful long term. Even though for the short term it was very painful, it was definitely not very good for her when it comes to her handshake popularity. But yeah, despite that, she sell her handshake store. Eventually, she still sell out, even though it's a lot slower than her peers now. Long term, she was able to become more comfortable with herself, and I feel like that make her what she is today, where she's able to go on various variety show or various other gigs and just be herself and just be spontaneous about being silly and being a variety character. And I think that's ultimately very important for her standing today because I feel like she's doing quite well and she have a decent casual following, and that's because of the way she is right now, which might not have been possible without the scandal.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know her anywhere near as well as you do,
Mm-hmm.
but my kind of feeling was that because the fandom and the other members eventually, I think some people took longer than they really needed to, but like eventually pretty much everyone forgave her.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of think that, like as that happened, it kind of showed her how highly everyone values her, basically.
Mm-hmm.
It took some time, but eventually, like, the message got through that, like, everyone really values her and kind of wants her to stick around. And I kind of
Mm-hmm.
think that was a big deal. So,
Sure.
yeah.
Sure.
So, I mean, like, moving on from this, like, I don't have anything else to say about the scandals in particular, but, like, it was nice we were at least able to kind of discuss this, because it's the only one I know anything about.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of them is just all kind of like tiny things that I've forgotten. Really,
Yeah,
it's a shame. It would have been nice to have some controversy, but it's not going to happen, unfortunately.
I can talk a little bit about Yamato Matos.
I do remember a little bit about it. I mean, I kind of remember that it happened and that was about it, but I kind of wasn't interested enough in her for the details to kind of like stick in my brain.
Yeah, yeah.
I
That's
think
sort of it.
it's not very nice, but I think if we talk about Yamato's scandal, everyone's just going to be bored, so we might as well move on, I think.
That's fair. She's never been a particularly popular
Yeah,
member.
sorry about
Yeah. Oh
that.
well.
So the first category that we had lined up was Buriko. So who are the members that you've chosen for that one?
I have three. I don't have five. I feel like maybe I could have squeezed in five, but the other
Yeah,
people put in weren't quite as like. It's just feel funny calling them Burrito. So
I forced myself to come up with five members because I'm that kind of person, but like Rusty being a more kind of like well-rounded person has just chosen as many members as he thought was appropriate. So yeah,
okay, so the member I got is Matsun for number one. I think she's the standard bearer when it comes to being a Buriko. Then we have Manazu, which which reflect the character. And then the third one, I have someone who graduated. I have Hime.
Yeah. Hime-tan, yeah.
Yes. So those are the three I've chosen. What about you?
The ones that I've chosen is at number 1, I've also chosen Matsun. Because, like, Matsun and Manatsu are both quite Buriko, but, like, Matsun's a lot kind of, like, louder and dumber about it, so I kind of thought that it was more appropriate for her to come first.
Yeah.
Then in second place, we've got Akimoto Manatsu, who's kind of like the standard bearer for, like, less Buriko and more Azatoi, if you know your Japanese adjectives.
Yeah.
Like Manatsu's kind of like, you know, she kind of knows what she's doing. It's kind of there to sort of like wind people up and like set jokes up. So Manatsu's not really Buriko. It's all like a thing that she's doing. Number 3, I've got Ranza. Because again, I kind of think that Ranza's kind of ever so slightly sly and sort of like has the ability to kind of, Ranza's kind of like got the ability to sort of like, like manipulate people. So I think I put her in 3. Number 4 is Tamachan. Maybe a little bit unfair, but Tamachan is incredibly good girl 24 hours a day, so maybe you can call her that. And number 5, I've kind of got like Yutan. Because I mean, Yutan's a little bit like, she's kind of like got a lot of the kind of outward characteristics of Buriko with her sort of like high-pitched voice and her sort of like wacky behaviour, but I kind of think personality-wise she doesn't really fit the bill. But that was the best I could do.
No, that's fair. I think, she does have a bit of a similarity, even though she's not quite one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was next? Next category was nice. So we should be able to get 5 members for this one, surely. Who have you got there?
I also have a graduate member here. I have my Aspers. Yeah, she's kind of like the symbolic and notable member for being famous for being very nice. The second one I have Mana.
I actually would have probably chosen Mai if I'd thought about choosing any graduated members. I've chosen no graduated members for pretty much everything, but yeah, I would have chosen Mai too.
Yeah, maybe that's a better way of doing it, but maybe it's kind of fun that we have one way where there's no graduate member and then another person choosing that include graduate member in their ranking. So I have my as first. Number 2, I have Manatsu. Despite her character, she is very nice, and I think it's kind of obvious now to everyone who follow Nogi to some degree.
Yeah, Manatsu is super nice.
Number 3, I have Misa. Misa is a great senpai to a lot of her kohais. So, for example, Ranze and Kijang, she adores a lot. And not only the people that she likes, she just seems like an all-around a very good senpai to a lot of people. So Misa is number 3. Number 4, I have Wakatsuki, also a graduate member now, actually. Wakatsuki's maybe not as well known, but I guess she's a bit low-key about it, but she's also the kind of senpai that go visit the kohai, go ask how they're doing, and go care for them. But
I also think that Wakatsuki has always come across as the kind of person who's, if you're friendly with them, they're 100% reliable for everything. So like Wakatsuki probably would have been on my list if I'd thought of doing graduated members.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Number 5, I have Maya, actually. Maya's, I think she's a little bit shy, so it might not be too obvious to strangers that she's necessarily nice, but once you once she's familiar with people, the sense I get is that once you're familiar with her, she's an incredibly nice and generous person. And my understanding is that most of the people in the group really adores her and look up to her. So that's my top 5. I also have Kubo and Miona as special mentions. I feel like they're also very nice people, but maybe not as prominent as the previous 5 mentioned. And funny enough, if I didn't include a graduate member, they'd be in. So maybe I should have done that, but oh well.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
My list is actually almost completely different from yours, which I think, if anything, it just sort of says how many really pleasant members they've got in the group. So I think it's a good thing that I can come up with 5 almost completely different people. So at number 1, I've got Manatsu, Akimoto Manatsu. She's always just come across as being like really, really kind and thoughtful to everyone. She's also the member that like a lot of members seem to like inviting over. She goes out with quite a lot of them, so yeah, pretty much everything just sort of says Akimoto Manatsu super nice.
Sure.
Number 2, I've got Shinichi Mai. Like in a more sort of like downtrodden kind of role, because everyone persistently looks down on her. Never even the slightest hint of temper about it. Really nice person. Number 3, I've got Takayama Kazumi. Like, it's actually one of the biggest reasons why she's my Oshimen in the first place. Just always seems to be very nice and easy to get along with.
That's true.
And also, one of the things that stands out to me is that she's best friends with Nishino Nanase, who doesn't seem to be an easy person to get to know. And I think quite often if you look at people who are very good friends with people who aren't that easy to get to know, it's always a good sign.
True.
Number 4, I've got Sakurai Reika, the captain who's always looking after everyone. Always seems like a really genuinely kind, caring person, so I've got her in there. And the 5th person is Sato Kaide, who seems to be kind of one of the members who really holds 3rd Gen together in terms of, like getting everyone together to sort of like do things. And she seems to have a very easy relationship with 1st and 2nd Gen members as well, so I've put her in.
I think it's great that we have such a different list, but despite being different, it's not contradictory, and it kind of shows the depth of how many people are nice and generous in the group.
Yeah, exactly. So, moving on to the next category, we've got members who were not included on the first single. So for this case, I actually have put a lot of graduated members in, because I kind of thought that was the spirit of the question. But who have you got for your top 5 there?
Yeah, I think it's hard to not include any people who haven't graduated, and I'm guessing there'll be more similarity on this one based on the limited number of choice. So for my first one, I have Mai Mai. For my second, I have Wakatsuki. For my third, I have Misa. For my fourth, I have Marika. And for my 5th, I have Himeka. And I kind of just look at it based on their later impact and their popularity, and all these members were members that end up being very important member of Noki, and they were unders, but they were Senbatsu regular. Definitely, when it comes to popularity wise, there should be Senbatsu regular at least, and were a very impactful member that many fans loved. So yeah, those are my 5 choices.
So I've got Fukugawa Mai as number 1 as well. Just genuinely one of my favourite idols of all time. Like, I find it shocking that she wasn't on the first single, especially given how important she ended up being. For number 2, I've got Ito Marika. For number 3, I've got Nagashima Seira, which I think a lot of people who know me now don't realise how big a fan of hers as I was before she graduated.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I genuinely thought she was great, really funny, really personable. So, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Nagashima Seda I thought was great.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4 is Wakatsuki Yumi.
Mm-hmm.
Again, like, Wakatsuki was actually... Wakatsuki was she maybe left off because of her scandal very early in her career?
Probably.
Because management always seemed to like Wakatsuki, and she kind of appeared on everything fairly early on, so it seems a bit strange that she was left off in retrospect. But yeah, again, like another member I love. And number 5 is Eto Misa.
Mm.
I kind of Eto Misa was like not quite as prominent early on, so I guess I'm less surprised that she was left off. But definitely, again, like one of Nogizaka's most important members,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, like it seems very strange in retrospect that she was left off. So yeah, for this one, we've actually come up with pretty similar lists again.
Yeah, I guess our this year either tell us that management didn't have a clue, or that it's just so unpredictable who will become popular or who will not become popular.
Yeah, because I mean, Nanase was only in second row, wasn't she? Or even third row? I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, she was pretty behind when it comes to like her position, but she kind of soared, and it kind of surprised everyone, I guess.
I think the thing that always comes across to me when I look at idol groups very early on in their career and then later on seems to be that management seems to be quite good at picking members who will be good in general, but they seem to be strangely clueless about who's going to end up being very popular quite a lot of the time.
Mm.
Like, I have no kind of like beef with the members that sort of like either Noizaka or even like 48 group management have picked as their kind of like choices, but yeah, seem to like picking a good member and picking a popular member seems to be quite a different thing.
Mm. That's true.
So yeah, next category we've got coming up is lewd members,
Mm-hmm.
which you know I'm sure everyone's looking forward to. They're probably gonna skip forward to it when I stamp all of these later on tomorrow.
So we better not
So
disappoint them.
who have you got there?
I only got 3 actually. Maybe if I look, actually maybe I could include more, but I got 3, and I think these are prominent Naruto member.
I've put down 5, and I really think that I probably should have cut it off to a lower number because I've kind of really stretched things a little bit here with a couple of them.
Well, I mean, it is a top 5, so you're doing what you're told, right?
It's not,
So,
yeah, lewdness is not actually that common in Nogizaka, I don't think.
or it could be
In
that,
public.
yeah, it's like even the member
Backstage, we don't know what they're like in public.
true,
Pretty
and even
restrained.
even the member I'm gonna talk about these they're not like too open about it to a degree, right? So, like, for example, my number 1 is Yutan, and it's not actually talk about it whenever she go on television, but it's just that when she started out, right, her character was her character was to be a somewhat nude character where she go around and touch people's bottom and put her head underneath their skirt.
I mean, the butt grabbing thing, she still does.
Yeah.
It was referenced in that recent episode of Uchino Gaia. Apparently, she still does it all the time.
I see. So yeah, she's genuinely rude, and I think besides being genuinely rude, initially that was supposed to be a Kara. I think it didn't work out, and part of the reason why is because Mayang, which is my second choice, is also a rude person. Like when it comes to butt grabbing and putting her face in real place and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when you have a popular member that also have something like that, I think you get overshadowed, so it didn't work out as a Kara for Yutan, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, she's my number 1 because she's the first person to be very open about it. My number 3 is Matsune, and I feel like I kind of maybe should have put her as number 2, because sometimes she's a bit outrageous about it. Do you remember the recent episode where not recent, during Valentine's, she talked about how she kissed Lydia?
Yeah, and Matson is another notorious kind of like butt grabber as well.
Yeah.
I
So
mean, in fact, actually, like if you watch Namino Idol Ski,
uh-huh.
she does it to almost every single idol who comes on the show,
Indeed.
including third gens.
And she
Which
seems
is
to
kind of like, I'm not even sure whether that's lewd or whether it's just kind of, she's just so obsessed with the entire concept that it doesn't register for her at all. I don't know.
yeah, I don't know, I think she enjoys it, so I would definitely think it's lewd since
Yeah,
she's to relish the opportunity to do these things, and it's she proactively went to kiss Lydia, so I think she's lewd.
yeah.
My number
So,
four is Lisa. Actually, I have missed that written down. I didn't notice that earlier, and I think she low-key does those kind of things too, but maybe not as prominent as those previous three.
okay, so those are your four.
Yeah.
Well, that leads in quite nicely because I've put Misa at number one because Matson and Yutan.
Mhm.
I've got Yutan at number two and I've got Matson at number three. But I
Mhm.
put Eto Misa at number one because Eto Misa is probably the only Nogizaka member who sort of sells the idea that she's sexy to fans. Like,
Mm.
no one else in Nogizaka actually even tries to do that.
Well,
So,
someone certainly does that. Well, maybe half seriously.
only in photo books.
Yeah, I'm just joking about Yoda. Joking about maybe she's
Yeah.
serious. But she's kind of joking, saying she's the sexy Kira virgin, and everybody's kind of like, "Aw."
Yeah, Yoda fails so hard that she doesn't even get on my expanded list, unfortunately.
Mm.
People can quote me on this. Yoda is not sexy.
That's fair. I think that's totally
So
fair.
yeah. So number one we've got Misa. Number
Mhm.
two we've got Yutan.
Mhm.
Number three we've got Matson. For number four I have put Shiraishi Mai.
Mhm.
The thing is I don't even know if Mayan is lewd or whether Mayan just sort of like gets overexcited. I don't know. She, strange person.
Mm.
Number five, I've put. I almost feel like I should apologize to her because I put Akimoto Manatsu at number five.
Oh.
Because of Akimoto Manatsu's handshake outfits.
Mm.
But honestly, it really feels like I'm stretching it, and I just feel bad because I kind of feel like she doesn't belong on that list, and I just really needed a fifth person to fill in. So sorry, Manatsu.
No, I think it's fair. I mean, she does actively show her shoulders when it comes to her handshake and in general, even. So, it's.
All I'm going to say is that I'm a Nogizaka fan and an HKT fan, and if we were doing HKT, this list would be really, really easy to fill up. Just not even on the same level. So, yeah, moving on to the next category, we've got meme members. That's meme, M-E-M-E, not mean. Sorry.
Me.
So meme members, who have you got?
For me members, I have Ikuchan as number one.
I just gonna say I put Eka-chan as number one as well. It's just you can't. It's almost undeniable. It's got to be Eka-chan.
Yeah, she's just too memorable, I guess. Like, she's always in various pictures and various videos. There's just various picture videos of her doing weird things, and it's just become very, very memorable. So yeah, it's hard to avoid Ikuchan as number one. For number two, I actually have Mayang, and that's mostly down to her expression. She's very good at facial expression that express her shock, her surprise, her horror at things. And then
I haven't chosen Mayan, but I easily could have done.
mm-hmm.
Like she is, like her face is shockingly meme-like.
Yeah, like despite being like so stunningly gorgeous, she's surprisingly very good at like expression that just are very meme-worthy, and you often find people on Twitter where Mayang meme-based as expression, right? So Maya's number two. My number three is Manatsu tries to be a meme person, so
Manatsu's a Force meme member.
True. Like, it's, whereas for Ikuchan and Maya, it's kind of comes more spontaneously. For Manatsu, she's engineering this. She always trip randomly when she shouldn't. She's always going to go to kill people and people don't react, and then she's going to be like, why? And they're going to joke about her big head, and these are all engineered by her, and they're I guess they're less spontaneous, so maybe that's their point of deduction, but they are still decent memes, and that's why she's number 3 for me.
Manatsu's extremely fail funny. Very, very fail funny.
Yeah, I guess that's what she's going for in a sense, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. For number 4, I have Kaz. She's also an extremely funny person where many golden moments. You can find them on YouTube, you can see them on Twitter, and yeah, that's I guess that's a definition of being a meme person. You have a lot of content that people can use to be humorous about. Number 5, I have Miona, and I feel Miona is maybe the weaker person on this list, but she have a monkey character going on, and this is a especially potent meme when it comes to their Mandarin-speaking fans because her name, Holy, in Mandarin, the first character literally means monkey, like Ho.
Oh, really?
Yes, and that's why when she goes to the concert in Hong Kong, where people were calling Misa, like Misa Senpai, were calling Ikuchan, when it comes to Holy, they call her Holy, Holy, Holy. And that's because Holy is like monkey, right? So it's a cute nickname for a Mandarin speaker, but it's not obvious at all for them, for a Japanese speaker, or for English speaker even. So that's why later on she kind of commented saying when she went to Hong Kong concert, her fan keeps saying Holy, and she had no idea why when they refer to other people in more commonsensical nicknames.
I mean,
so, yeah.
Like in Japanese, the kanji is like dig, so how it's gone from monkey to dig, like the differences between Japanese and Chinese characters are always very, very bizarre, I think.
Yeah, it's not so much a character, it's the sound. Ho literally is
right.
the same sound as monkey, yeah.
So I've got, and obviously at number 1, I've also got Ikuta Erika. Ikuta Erika is fantastically meme-worthy for the things she says, for her face, and also for the things she does, like the sort of, like, what was it she did? The Evan Polka?
Yep.
Yep, so she just ticks pretty much every single meme box, like no one's ever going to beat her. And number 2, that's actually where I've put Hori Miona. Just because there's something so ridiculous about so many of the things she does. I just think, her face is like almost as good as Ika-chan's, I think. So number 3, I've put Asuka. I think it's just partly because Asuka's thought patterns seem to be so bizarre to regular people. And I mean, it's like, obviously, I frequently use the I am very dark screencap from, it's from Nogichu, isn't it? So that's almost an actual very, very restricted meme within, like only Nogizaka fans, but it really does feel like a meme whenever anyone says anything related to the concept of darkness. It's always Asuka. For number 4, I've put Yoda Yuki. Partly for her face. And it's not just like Yoda's shock face, it's like Yoda's kind of, when she's thinking, like she's pretty much always pulling a face unless she's kind of posing for a photo. Plus Yaki Emo.
And also her name, she's literally Yoda.
Yoda, yeah. Master Yoda Yuki. And last place I've put Ozono Momoko.
Oh, okay.
Again, just another very, very strange person. Like her face, her kind of like the way she reacts to everything seems very meme-worthy. So those are my 5.
Hmm.
So next category is another very excellent one, which was submitted by friend of the show Vince, which is demi-human members. So
Hmm.
members who are half human and half something else. So who have you got for this one?
For number one, I have Yoda.
Has to be, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Half human, half goat, Yoda Yuki. I've put her at number one as well.
Yeah, like she, not only is she, okay, at least to me, I think she looks kind of funny. Not necessarily in a bad sense, but she's, like, I don't know, she look a bit different.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and she's very short, very, very short. So, these quality make her the perfect number one choices. For number two, I actually have Kubo, and I think she kind of have an elf-like look to her. Do you know what I mean?
I've also chosen Kubo, but for a completely different reason.
Ah, I see.
So,
Yeah, Kubo's very pale and very slender. Like it's like she's so slender it make me worry about whether she's eating enough. Although there was a while when her face was chubby, although I think that's more because she did some dental work instead of actually, actually very increasing weight. But yeah, anyway, she for a while, and I think now she is again. She sometimes seems extraordinarily lean, and that made me wonder, is she alright? And it also gave her a bit of an effort feeling, like, so that I say, she's kind of like an elf, right? Being very pale and very thin and lean, kind of like those Tolkien elf-like creatures.
yeah.
Yeah. For number three, I have Tamami.
Okay.
Tamami, I don't remember, but there was a while when she was on Note 2 and she showed her face when she pulled her hair up and she made this expression and
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
she looked like Mr. Bean.
I think we maybe should get a screen cap of this to show to people because it's it's genuinely just such an amazing thing to see.
Yeah, so that expression was quite memorable, and that scene made her look quite demi-human.
Yeah,
Really.
Tamagoblin.
I think that's all I have for now. Yeah.
Okay, so the members I've got are Yoda Yuki, half human, half goat. Number two, I've got Maya, and I have Maya because Maya kind of looks like half human, half hamster. like she's got a cute face, but she's got the sort of cheeks that you can sort of store things in.
That's true.
So I've got her at number two. Number three, I've also got Kubo Shiori, but I've got Kubo Shiori because she looks like one of those kind of sad dogs.
Ah.
Sort of like dogs who are sort of lying by the fire. They kind of don't want to get up and do anything. She kind of looks a little bit like that, I think.
That's true. That's true.
So I've got her at number three. And number four, I've actually got Reika. Sakurai Reika, because she kind of... There's something kind of fox-like about her face. And at number five, because Vince asked this question, I thought the best thing to do is to round things up by giving the most annoying answer possible. So I've gone for Shiraishi Mai as half human, half god. There you go. There's demigod Mayan. So she's my number five.
That kind of reminds me. Maybe I should have put down Ki-Jang for her sometime in human strength.
Yeah, I don't know whether people who are listening know this, but there's an amazing clip from one of the earlier Noggy Bingo seasons where Ki-chan just bends a frying pan in half, and it's it's a legitimate, probably aluminium frying pan, and there are other people who can do that, but that's still amazing given her weight.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Ki-chan looks like she probably only weighs like about 7 or 8 stone, and she just like bends this aluminium frying pan. It's not even like bent; it's like actually bent over
Yeah.
so that the edges like touch each other. It's just like amazing.
Yeah, and in fact, she also like tear a magazine, a big manga magazine in half, and she did that recently on the
Is
Bomberly.
it like a Shonen Jump or something?
Something like that. It was pretty thick.
Because
I'm not
those
sure.
things are really, really thick.
Yes, it was a very thick manga magazine, and she tear it in half. I mean, it's obviously after some effort, but nonetheless she tear it in half, and she recently did it in Bomberly, so she's still at it. She haven't lost that ability after her hiatus.
Yeah,
So
so yeah, like Ki-chan's a really good choice as well.
yeah, our Hercules.
So next category is funny members.
Mm-hmm. Are you gonna go first or?
Yeah, maybe I'll go first this time. So
Mm-hmm.
the person I've put at number 1 is soon to be graduated but not quite graduated Nojo Ami.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not just that Nojo's funny. I think it's that her sense of humor really lines up with my own as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I actually think it's not the most obvious choice, like for me to come from me personally, but yeah, Nojo Ami is, in my opinion, funniest member at the moment. Number
Mm-hmm.
2 is Ikuta Erika,
Mm-hmm.
just really, really funny.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I think she's doing it on purpose. Sometimes I think it's just, like her natural aura. But yeah, she's really, really funny.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3 is Takayama Kazumi.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think the choice everyone expected from me. But yeah, like, she's really, really funny, and it's also like nice to see her joke as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like Kaz is never going to get jokes from being mean about somebody, which is nice. It's nice to be nice.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4 is Hori Miona.
Mm-hmm.
Such a deeply, deeply weird person.
Mm-hmm.
Just like her face is like almost always comedy gold, just by itself.
Mm-hmm.
Number 5 is Makai Hazuki,
Mm.
who like has come in, and I really, really like her, and I really like her sense of humor and personality overall. So those are my 5.
Mm-hmm. That's a pretty good list, and I think mine's a bit different, and I think that shows you how many members in Nogi are quite hilarious.
Yeah,
So
I think it shows that there's a lot of funny members, but probably also just like different sense of humor as well.
true. So for my list, number 1 I have Iku, and I think it's kind of hard to avoid her.
Yeah,
When it comes to being funny, she has so much memorable moments that are hilarious on various like platforms. So yeah,
I think the interesting thing is like Ika-chan is not a variety type idol at all.
Mm-hmm.
She's just really funny anyway.
True.
Like
True.
it's almost as though she's not really actually setting out to do anything. She just does it automatically.
Yeah, and based on what we can see from like members and like your talk interviews and stuff, it seems like Ikuchan's just naturally like that. She's just a very hilarious person.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so that's her. Ikuchan number 1 for me. Number 2 I have Majun. I think Sayuri is very, very entertaining when she goes on various shows, and I immensely enjoy her when she's on different shows. So, for example, recently I've been looking up the Yoshimoto Zaka show, and she's a regular. She hosts alongside 2 other person. And sometimes she's away, and when she's away, Maya or Tamami or Kana comes in and take her place. And you can really feel the difference in the level of like entertainment, I guess, in the level of how funny it is. Like Matsun
I
is
also
really
think that like I didn't choose Matsun,
mm-hmm.
but I think she's one of the best members when she's by herself. You know, like when she's kind of disconnected from the group, she's still funny.
That's true.
Whereas I think that, like, for example, like Hori probably wouldn't be funny if she was like not with the rest of the group.
That's true. Yes, Majin really excels at just going out and doing her own thing. I mean, obviously she's playing off rapper with her co-host, but yeah, I mean, she's very good at it, and that's something that make me put her number 2. For number 3, I have Manazu. And yeah, we know Manazu. She engineered a lot of different kind of gags and memes, and those are obviously attempts to be funny and to be memorable. And despite the deliberate nature of those, I do think they're funny, and that's why she's on my number 3.
Yeah.
My number 4 is Kaz, and yeah, we know Kaz. Kaz is oftentimes funny and kind of like Iku. I oftentimes don't think she's purposely being funny. She's just a very funny person. Sometimes just the way she moves is funny. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so there's stuff like Kaz's like deafening sneezes is like definitely not planned. Like you can't do that on purpose.
Yeah. In a sense, she's like the opposite of Manazu. They're both funny, but why they're funny is like for a totally different reason. One's spontaneous, one's totally planned and engineered. For number 5, I have My Turn. My Turn, it's also kind of like Kaz in that she's not trying to be funny, but she ends up being funny anyway. And it's more of the slapstick type, like the way
My Turn's so goofy.
Yeah, like the way she does things, the way she reacts to things, the way she talk about things. It's just very funny, and it's not like a smart or deliberate ploy. It's just her being herself, and it ended up being hilarious anyway. I think she also have great rapper with the rest of member. They always kind of make fun of her, like tease her for being like their eldest member in the group. I mean, not in their overly harmful way, but kind of a teasing way. And it's super interesting because they never do that to My. They all kind of love and respect, but when it comes to My Turn, they all kind of tease her, and it's a very interesting interaction to see.
Yeah, because like if you tease My Turn, it's gonna be funny.
Mm-hmm.
But if you kind of like tease My, it would just be sad, I think. Because My just has no comebacks to any kind of like bad behavior.
True. So yeah, that's my top 5 funny people.
So yeah, next category is top 5 eating members, top 5 big eaters. So there's not really much description we could do here. I guess we might as well just list off our personal opinions. But number 1, I've put Matsun. Because Matsun is kind of like, it's not just that she sort of like has this reputation, it's that whenever they have some sort of like eating competition, like Matsun's performance is always just like genuinely terrifying. As they like just eats like probably like 3 or 4 times what you'd imagine someone her size would. It's just insane.
True.
Number 2 is Hazuki. It's interesting actually because like Hazuki kind of has lost quite a lot of weight since she joined the group. But she's actually still eating about the same amount, and she just sort of like explained it's because she's exercising much more than she used to be.
True.
So yeah, like if you become an idol, there's the possibility you'll end up in really good shape. Like really fit and strong, which kind of seems to be what she is at the moment. Number 3, I put Ika-chan. Like Ika-chan seems to especially like be. I'm not even sure whether Ika-chan eats that much or whether she's just like abnormally determined when it comes to the eating sections. I'm not really sure, but like number 4, I've got Itoriria. And at number 5, I've got Wadamaya.
Okay, so I only have 3 because Yeah, I'm not sure. Are there other obvious big eaters? So, and my top three is actually the same as yours, except for a slightly different order.
Mm-hmm.
So number one, I also have Matsun, and yeah, she really can eat. Like, I remember in one episode, actually, they talk about her eating 2 or 3 bento, while other members only eat like 1.
Well,
So
I guess Matsson's quite tall, but I mean, it's like I don't know how someone that size can eat that much. Like it feels like it just shouldn't be physically possible.
true, and she's not that tall. She's slightly tall relative to the rest of the group, but she's shorter than Umezawa, and Umezawa don't seem to eat nearly as much as her either.
No.
So yeah, Matsun's interesting. She eat a lot. Number 2, I have Iku, and Iku-chan's, I think she does definitely eat more than the average member as well, but she's definitely eating much less than Matsun. I don't really remember, but they once did an eating competition on either Noki Doko or Noki Chu, and Iku-chan was very determined to win Matsun by the end. Even her like raised her white flag and like I can't beat Matsun when it comes to eating. It was I think the last part was a rice eating contest, and Matsun was just, like gobbling down all these rice, and Iku-chan's like have this look of defeat and gloom. So that's quite funny. But yeah, I think Iku-chan do eat can eat quite a bit. She always eat a hearty breakfast. There's been a few footage of that. But yeah, because she's so active, she's doing musicals, she's dancing, she's singing, she's all over the place. She somehow still end up being very, very lean. She's one of the thinner member of the group, I think, despite her face being of a more slightly chubby kind of face.
The other thing
She's actually, yeah.
She's got quite a big head, hasn't she? It kind of makes her look bigger than she actually is.
Yeah, she has a little bit of a baby cheek, I guess, but her body's actually very, very thin, and if you look at her arm, it's extraordinarily slender, and it makes you wonder how is she playing her piano so well with like so less muscle on her arm. But yeah, that's Iku-chan. Despite eating a lot, she's actually not that fat or anything, which is interesting. And number 3, I also have Hatsuki. Hatsuki, like you said, yeah, she's still eating a lot, but she's exercising a lot, so she's actually getting thinner, which is pretty interesting. I think it'd be very interesting if Matsun and Hatsuki have a eating contest, though.
Yeah. It actually, I think, might end up costing them quite a lot of money. I think they might not want to go down that route.
That's true. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's eaters. And the next category that came up was graduations, and I've kind of realised there's 2 ways of interpreting this. We could have like either the most kind of like notable graduation events, or as I interpreted it, the most important graduated members. So I've done like my top 5 graduated members. Have you done that as well?
Yeah.
Okay, good. At least we're both on the same page then. So who have you got?
I have Nanami as my first one because she's I feel like she's the first very, very big player that graduated, and is the one that kind of sent vibration and through the fandom. And she's the first member to have a graduation song as their A-side, and it's a song that I think was very impactful. It's definitely one of their top songs when you ask either the member or the fans to rank when it comes to Nobizaka songs. So yeah, Nanami's number 1, and she just have a long history with the group, and when she graduated, it kind of feels very significant.
Yeah, Sayonara no Imi as a song was interesting because I wasn't that into it the first time I heard it, but as I continued listening to it, it really grew. Like I liked it more and more. Although, yeah, there was something I wanted to say, but I think I'll leave it for later.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, and yeah, her she'd been prominent in the group up till then, and her graduation concert was very moving. So yeah, that means number 1. My number 2 is Mai, and Mai is actually their very first big member that graduated, although Nanamin's graduation was like a bigger deal because Nanamin was even more prominent, but Mai was fairly prominent when she graduated as well. And
Yeah, I mean, what I was going to say is that I kind of like agree that Nanamin's graduation is like a bigger deal.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, Mai's final song was a graduation song as well, wasn't it?
True. That's true.
Anyway, it's not a big deal.
I think I just Sana no Imi is just a much more significant song for me and a much stronger song. So
Yeah, I think so.
I forgot the fact that my song was also a graduation song because it wasn't nearly as significant and good. But yeah, my was the first big member to graduate, and we all know.
I also wanted to say that I just think that the video for Sayonara no Umi is fantastic as well.
True.
It's one of my favorite videos because you can really, it's really open for interpretation what's going on there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and like what kind of thing the members are involved in. So yeah, I kind of found that really interesting.
I also thought it was really nice when they integrated some Ainu culture into it, because Nanami is from Hokkaido, and most people in Hokkaido are probably mixed. Like they're not just pure Japanese when it comes to
Yeah, because I mean, a lot of people from Hokkaido are probably half Ainu, half Yamato people. So
yeah. So, and it's kind of a shame that their Ainu culture isn't very preserved well, but it's kind of cool to see like there's element of Ainu culture being reflected in this MV, so that make it a nice touch. Yeah. So yeah, mine's the number 2, Nanami's the number 1. My number 3 is Marika. Marika, despite never having been in the front of Senbatsu, and never having gotten her A-side song as a graduation song, or in any song, in fact. I think we can all agree Monika's very influential member. She's a really good dancer, and when she really caught people's attention, she have a lot of very good bonus video. Her bonus video are like the best and probably the best known of all Nogi bonus videos. She's known for her very interesting fashion sense, and she's pretty much the fashion icon of Nogi. And she also have a very interesting artistic sense, and her videos, her video creations, and her artwork, these are all something people look up to, and even art directors are interested in. So when Monica left, that was something quite significant. Maybe not in terms of raw popularity, but in terms of all the other stuff that Monica offered.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think I made similar comments on Twitter earlier on, which is that I actually think Marika is one of the most significant members to Noigizaka in terms of what she brought to the group and with her sense of creativity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like when you're sort of like talking about, you know, like members who sort of like made their mark on the group as individuals, not like Manika is actually one of the strongest members for that. Mm-hmm. I think if you're not a fan of Nogizaka, you know, like Manika's graduation probably just completely passed you by.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're a fan of the group, you know, like Manika's graduation is one of the most important graduations.
Mm-hmm. That's true. So that's why Marika is now number 3. My number 4 is Nanase, and that might seems a bit funny since like there's 3 members who are less popular than her above her. But I've been thinking about it in terms of impact, and since Nanase haven't completely left yet, their impact isn't quite felt. You know what I mean?
I'll be honest, I actually didn't put Nanase in at all because she's still in the group, so I know what you mean, because obviously the actual impact of Nanase's graduation has already started to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But because it hasn't happened yet, I didn't put her in.
Yeah, she's kind of gray zone, actually, right? So, Yeah, it feel weird to put her any higher, but it also felt weird to me to not have her since she is going to graduate. Kind of like she's kind of graduated, but kind of not because she have her graduating concert early next year. It's kind of a weird setting, but yeah. So I have her number 4 because she is the most among the most popular member, or the most popular member in Nogi, and her significance is just hard to overstate, right?
One of the interesting things is I actually agree with the idea that Nanamin's graduation seems to have had a bigger impact in general than Nanasei's did. On a personal level,
I think so.
I like Nanasei a lot more, so it's had a bigger impact on me personally.
Mm-hmm.
But I would kind of say that, like, in terms of the group, the thing is Nanamin is the first member that casual fans knew who'd ever graduated from the group.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, it kind of felt more shocking.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Nanasei graduating is obviously a really, really big deal that's going to have a big impact on the group going forward. But
Mm-hmm.
on the other hand, there are other members who can step in.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a kind of like big, shocking event that the fans haven't really experienced before.
Mm-hmm.
Nor is it something that's going to end the group. So it's kind of like in that sense, even though personally I consider, I like Nanasei a lot more than Nanamin.
Mm-hmm.
And Nanasei is probably like a bigger figure.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think Nanamin's graduation was a big deal.
Yeah, I think another factor that adds to it is the fact that Nami is graduating not only from the group but also leaving the industry for good.
Yeah.
Like she never was aiming to be in this industry, and she's going to leave this industry, and there's a real parting in a sense. Whereas for Nase, although she's leaving the group, there's a good chance you're still going to see her in the scene because she's going to stick around in the industry, right?
Yeah, I mean, plus also I think that there's also the element that Nanamin's graduation also generated quite a lot of interest because of Nanamin's comments about not really caring all that much about being an idol.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like personally speaking, I was fine with those comments. You know what I mean? It's like for some people, being an idol is like the biggest deal, like the biggest thing you can possibly do in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like Nanamin effectively became an idol to help out her family,
Mm-hmm.
which I feel is like a no less, like laudable reason to become one.
True. Yeah. Like her story about needing through when she entered a group, I feel like that become like a legendary tale in a sense. And I think it also shows that it's alright if you're entering, like becoming an idol because you want some income, want to feed yourself, and that's totally fine, and people appreciate different reasons for wanting to be an idol as well, right?
Yeah, like Nanamin, saved her family from poverty basically. I mean, there's not really any other way to put it.
Yeah.
It's a good reason to, go out and seek your fortune.
Mm-hmm.
And she really genuinely helped like every single one of her family members by doing that. So I think that's actually a great thing to do.
Yeah.
The other thing is kind of, fans like to believe that the idol's world revolves around them, but yeah, it doesn't really.
Yeah.
And I don't think honesty's a bad thing when Nanamin, effectively came out and said that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
True.
yeah, so who's your number 5?
My number 5 is Wakatsuki.
Mm-hmm.
She's kind of like Monica, but to a much lesser degree, I think. She's also an artist that designs stuff. She also have some artistic work, but Monica's much more a powerhouse in this regard. But Wakatsuki have been a more prominent member for longer, and yeah, she have great chemistry with many members who are regulars and best members. She's also seems to be doing well these days when it comes to acting gigs. She have a great relation with Fukuda, I think, the director for that drama series and several movies. And she recently represented him in that award ceremony where Asuka won an award, I think. So yeah, she's doing well these days, and I feel like her graduation is also another ruse of the artistic depth of Nogizaka, because there's been a saying that recently there's going to be a drawing contest between the 4 legendary artists. They're talking about that sarcastically between Ikuchan, Miona, Tamami, and Asuka, because they draw like Picasso in a very negative way. But people have been talking about how the 4 real artistic masters have all graduated. Mai, Malika, Wakatsuki, and who's the 4th one? Yeah, there's 4 members that drew very well, and they all graduated. And I think Wakatsuki is leaving. Oh yeah, Nase. Wakatsuki leaving represent another loss of the artistic depth that Nogi used to offer.
Yeah. So I've kind of like actually come at it from a different perspective, because I've just gone for the top 5 graduations that affected me personally.
Okay.
So number 1, I've put Mai. Like I actually just absolutely loved Mai. I think Mai is actually, is actually like in my top 5 favorite idols of all time. So yeah, like when she graduated, I think also when Mai graduated, that was one of the first times that I remember that I personally really cared for had graduated. Up to that point, that wasn't really something that had been the case. It wasn't really something I'd had to deal with. So, like Mai's graduation has always kind of like stuck in my mind as one that kind of really affected me personally. Number 2 is one. It's not really a graduation actually. What it is it's the ending of Matsui Rena's Kennen. Because like I absolutely loved Rena, and like I was like a massive fan of SKE for a long time, and Rena was like my favorite member by far. So when she actually went to Nogizaka, I thought it was kind of perfect in a way, because I was only just starting to get into them. And when Rena kind of left, it was like the first indicator that she was gonna like quit the idol business, I think, because she kind of decided she wanted to kind of like strip down just to SKE and focus on that for as long as she had left. It's also because I kind of think it was like the last time when any kind of meaningful interaction between 48 and 46 seemed possible. Because Sakamichi AKB is kind of like a sad replacement for Matsui Rena. So I've got Rena at number 2, and at number 3 I've got Ito Manika. I think we kind of covered why Ito Manika was such a big deal, because I really thought that she kind of gave something unique to the group that they probably won't ever have again.
True.
So yeah, made Nogizaka like very, very interesting in a very specific way. Number 4 is Nagashima Seda, who again I kind of just wish had been an idol for a bit longer, because I still see her around sometimes, but like not very often.
True.
And I just thought like she was just like one of the most entertaining and charming idols I ever came across. I really, really liked her. Number 5 is probably the person who I would have chosen if I'd gone on the same criteria as you, which is kind of like members whose graduation was a really, really big deal, and that's again Hashimoto Nanami, who like I liked, but definitely not on the same kind of level as the other 4 members I just mentioned.
That makes sense.
So yeah, that's my top 5. The next category we've got coming up is moles. Either cute moles or sexy moles.
Or both.
Or both.
Yeah. Should I start first?
Yeah, please.
Okay, for number 1 I have Maya. I think that's kind of a no-brainer. Mayan have this very prominent mole on the right side of her face, I think. It's just above her mouth,
I
and
think it's on her right side, yeah.
yeah, and to be honest, before Nogi, I kind of thought obvious mole in her position like that wasn't very good looking.
Yeah, this
And
is something which we should sort of bring up as kind of moles have almost become like Nogizaka's like card, like
true,
they're sort of like their calling card personality wise, because so many of the most important members of Nogizaka have them in a very obvious place.
yeah, and they look good despite it. And in fact, sometimes some people you can say accentuated, like it's not a negative. And like after becoming a Nogi fan, it kind of just changed my perspective on this whole thing. And Ma Yan's one of the member with the most prominent Mo, and yeah,
The
it looked great.
person who asked this question definitely really likes them. Yeah.
That's true. And
So yeah,
yeah,
Mayan.
Mayan's number one, and yeah, it's kind of self-explanatory. Number two, I have Asuka, and yeah, Asuka also have a very prominent role.
Asuka kind of actually has like the mirror image of Mayan's, doesn't she?
True, it's like
I think hers is on the left.
yes, and it's almost yeah, like you said, it's almost like this exact same position, just on the opposite side, and it's quite incredible actually, and it looks good on Asuka as well.
Mm.
And yeah, I guess this is one of those cute mo, although I think it can go both ways for Asuka.
Mm.
So Asuka's my number two. My number three is Mai Mai. And yeah, like for some reason, it seems like a lot of members in Nogi who are prominent and a high chance if your name Mai have these mo. And Mai Mai have it also in a very prominent position. It's slightly more to the side compared to Asuka and Maya, I think, but it's also still very prominent above the mouth. And
Yeah, because Mai Mai's got like one above and one below the kind of corner of the mouth.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
if I was going to go for graduated members, I would have chosen Mai Mai's as well, because it kind of Mai Mai's moles are in a position which kind of whenever she smiles, that's kind of like where your eye goes to.
that's
It's
true.
just like yeah, like it's really really charming.
hmm Yeah, so my is my number three. My number four is Wakatsuki. Wakatsuki's mo is isn't as prominent as the other three, I think. It's not near the mouth for first part. It's like underneath the eye.
Yeah, it's kind of like about 3/4 of the way up her left cheek, isn't it?
hmm Yeah, I think it's definitely a lot less prominent than the previous three, but I also feel like when you look at Wakatsuki and you see that mo under her eye, it can often work really well with her style. And it's also interesting that for once it's not near the mouth. So that's Wakatsuki, and I have her number four. For number five, I actually have a fourth gen. I have Ayame there, and there might be a better case for some of the older member. The reason I have Ayame there is because I feel like hers more prominent, and even though the other members are around longer, hers is very visible, and it kind of feels like a continuation of Nogi's tradition of having prominent mo.
Okay,
And
so I'm not as familiar with the fourth gens, but I've just looked them up. And are you talking about the one on her neck?
she have one on her neck and one on, believe her, like above her cheek or something like
Right.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like right cheek about halfway up.
Yeah, something like
Yeah.
that. hmm
And it's true actually. It's interesting that like pretty much like the visible mole sting is something which is just like across every single Nogizaka generation.
hmm
And I've kind of like I've actually kind of referred to it like several times in the past as being like the sort of like mark of Nogizaka.
True. True.
You know, because it's like whenever I sort of like talk about like new gens I like, it's
Hmm.
so common that I'll have one that I kind of, yeah, that's how I've started referring to it now.
Hmm. There's actually one member I miss, and I probably definitely should have included.
Yeah,
Umezawa.
Umezawa, yeah.
Yeah, she's kind of like Marianne, like position rise that's above the mouth and in a prominent visible location.
So, yeah, I mean, that's a good place to lead into mine,
Mm-hmm.
because I haven't chosen Mayan, and I kind of
Mm.
haven't chosen Mayan because Mayan's mole is just so famous that it almost feels like a waste of time to even talk about it.
That's true.
It is so famous, but I've chosen Minimin as my top one mole
Mm.
member, which is the one I'm thinking about isn't actually the one on her lip, which is kind of in a similar place to Mayan's. The one I'm thinking about is actually like the one on her forehead,
Ah.
because it's like the way her sort of like fringe opens up. It's kind of like just above her right eyebrow,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just like, yeah, like it's so. It always kind of like catches my eye.
Mm-hmm.
Because like when I sort of like look at like Minimin's eyes, like that's always what I see is like the sort of like the one mole that's sort of like peeking out of her fringe in the gap.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I really really like that one.
Mm-hmm.
Second, so that's kind of like cute mole. Number
Mm-hmm.
two is more kind of like, I guess, like sexy mole territory, which is the one on Yamashita Mizuki's neck.
Ah.
It's kind of like, I think that Zuki, when she's actually taking photos of herself, like always tries to like get it in somewhere.
Mm.
It's just kind of like, yeah, like it's one of those things that like she's very very pale, so like my eyes kind of like go to it almost automatically.
Mm.
Like the third one, again in sort of like sexy idol, I'm probably going to go to hell for this territory, is the one on Eto Misa's collarbone. Yeah, because like one of the, I think Misa does actually always wear the sort of like low-shouldered things, so people can always see it. Actually, I think it's deliberate, but like yeah, like it's just really hard to stop looking at it. Yeah,
No, that's fair. I totally agree.
like moving back into like more wholesome territory for number 4 and 5. Like number 4 is Yoda Yuki,
Mm.
sort of like just below the left eye. It's just
Mm-hmm.
kind of like it's really really cute because when she sort of like smiles, it kind of like the muscles in her cheeks sort of like push it up. It's like really cute and easy to notice when she does that. So I
Mm-hmm.
really really like that one. And the fifth one is like, I think it's interesting that I put this one in and you haven't, is the one on Ikata Erika's right cheek.
Ah. Mm.
Like again, it's kind of like one that you kind of like notice when she's smiling,
Mm-hmm.
because you know it kind of like it moves that area around. So like whenever Ika-chan smiles, I kind of see that. So
Mm-hmm.
I really like that one as well. And I think we were talking about this earlier, but because there's so many questions that have been asked, we're
Mm-hmm.
going to have to split it into two parts. So this is going to be the end of this half.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It sounds about the right time.
There's lots and lots of good stuff left to go to, some sort of like controversial questions and some weird questions and some kind of like some sort of like more well-adjusted questions. So
Mm-hmm.
please look forward to it. It'll probably be I'm going to be too busy over Christmas to do anything, so we're probably going to look at a new next episode coming out closer to New Year's, perhaps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds about right, I think.
So yeah, that's goodbye from me, John.
That's goodbye from me, Rusty.